How many times has this podcast said, is Destiny 2 gonna be saved? Will this update save Destiny? Listen, we have roasted PvP, we've roasted Trials of Osiris, we've roasted decisions they've made, decisions they haven't made. We talk about Destiny a lot. But we have, honestly, some pretty big news is Destiny 2 made some huge system changes to Trials of Osiris. And it led to not just a successful weekend, but the most successful weekend in the history of both Destiny 1 and Destiny 2. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it did surpass both now. Even the very launch of Trials of Osiris, when Destiny 1 was a super popular game, this weekend beat it. And that's astronomical.
In terms of matches played, yeah.
That's huge. That's astronomical. Right.
750,000 players. Lots of the thing is, and I think this is an important statistic, was the fact that it was the most. It wasn't the highest player count, but it was close. But it was absolutely the most games ever played in a weekend.
Right.
And what that tells you is that people wanted to play. They kept playing.
Yeah. So more people played, like more unique people played other weekends, but the games per player was higher this weekend, right?
There's a little bit of weirdness with the statistics. Let me break it down.
Okay.
All right. So this was the highest ever Trials of Osiris player count.
Right.
Now,
right.
Yeah.
When you in Destiny 2, if you count Trials of the 9, then it's not anymore because certain Trials of the 9 weekends were higher. But think about Trials of the 9.
Wait, what?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah, exactly, right? You're like, what? But you think Destiny 2, when it launched, was so incredibly popular. It was riding a massive high from Destiny 1.
Yeah.
And then they completely ruined all of their goodwill because the game was in a pretty trash state when it launched, right? So they've been like slowly crawling back to it. But yeah, so not counting Trials of the 9, just looking at Trials of Osiris, which is from when it was reintroduced in Warmind back to now, this was the top weekend ever. But in terms of games played, most ever, and that includes Trials of the 9, and it includes Destiny 1 Trials. So like more people played on certain weekends of Destiny 1 Trials, but they didn't play as many games, right? Which tells me that there was more people playing and they tried a few games and they got frustrated and they got off.
Can't get flawless some out.
Now you have more staying power, like for sure.
Another big statistic, over 100,000 players went to the Lighthouse for the first time ever. That is amazing.
That's pretty cool.
For one, there's 100,000 players. Wow. No, I'm just kidding. But,
no, actually.
But the fact that 100,000 new players that have never gone to the Lighthouse got to the Lighthouse, that's amazing. Because they're not all just getting carried there by Grenader Jake. Those are people that found some buddies or even played solo, grinded it out, and got some loot.
Can we discuss some drama? Can we discuss some slightly juicy drama related to that? There's been a few people with a few hot takes that have said that because of that, you just mentioned that, right? 100,000 people, never been before. Now they went flawless.
Yeah.
Like I think 25% of total players ended up going flawless, right? And so some people have said that proves that it's easy this time around. It's like too easy. And here's the interesting thing, right? Going flawless, it's the same thing. You have to win 7 games in a row. That hasn't changed at all, right? So the actual process of going flawless is not different whatsoever, right?
Right.
If you lose once, unless you have the mercy card, you're done. You're not going flawless. So what could have possibly made it easier? The only difference is just
the player count.
Yeah. And I'm going to be honest, when I played Trials, I went flawless, and then I just stuck with that flawless card because you can keep getting flawless loot.
You farm those adepts, man.
And it was an easier experience, but it doesn't mean that like it diminishes the accomplishment of anyone. The only reason it's easier is because this is how it's always supposed to be. Yeah. Every other weekend, you were against nothing but cheaters and
recoveries,
carries, and Grenader Jake. It's like, no crap, it's going to be hard. There's freaking 50,000 people at playing peak hours on Steam. Now there's 400,000 or whatever there is. Like, no crap, it's going to feel easier when you're not versing cheaters every other game. You're versing normal human beings. This is how it's always supposed to be.
I would also argue that because you've been playing against cheaters and Frostbolt every weekend, people that have stuck with Destiny, you're probably much better than you think you are. And so when the whole population comes in who hasn't touched Trials in months, you destroy them, and you're like, "Whoa, what's going on?"
It's been so good,
right?
Maybe.
You've been molded in the inferno of Trials. You've been molded in the Crucible.
Well, and I gotta say, it just seems to me like the hottest takes I saw from people criticizing the E's, the ones that I saw were all people that made money off Trials, and I think that. I mean, I don't want to say that's a direct correlation, but it is definitely ironic because a lot of these people are people who did recoveries, who did carries live on stream. And so the idea that maybe they're not going to get paid as much anymore might be a factor. And I don't want to accuse anybody directly, but I think that could be a factor for a lot of these players. But listen, the fact that you didn't have to put your balls in a grinder to go flawless doesn't diminish the accomplishment at all. And what Kaka said is absolutely true. This is the way that it's always supposed to be. In fact, it was really cool because I tried to do a little quick play to try out some new roles I got in my Shairas during Trials while Trials was up, and my matchmaking times were so long because everybody was playing Trials, you know?
Right. Exactly. Well, someone in the chat's like, it's cap, bro. It's so easy now. I'm 2.8 KD this season, 21 flawless. Again, it probably is easy for you. We're not saying that it's not necessarily like it's not easier for those people, right? We're just saying that like the challenge is not altered, right? The 7, it's not like Bungie made it only 5 wins now. That would have made it easier, right? We're saying it's the exact same challenge. The only reason people feel like it's easier is just because there's an actual freaking player population. Again, this is how it's supposed to be. If you think it's easy, it's because you're a top high-skilled player who is always supposed to find it easy. The only reason it's been sweatier previous weekends is because no one plays this freaking game mode except for Bakken and his 12 different accounts, right? Like, that's the only people playing this game mode, bro.
Right. Absolutely. And this is not the comp playlist. So if that's what you want out of this playlist, guess what? You're just flat out wrong. That's not what this was designed to be. It's not what it's intended to be. And so what you want to do is probably you want to give that feedback to Bungie and say, listen, I want an environment where I can match people my skill. I can put my nuts in a grinder and just hammer away and see who's the best of the best, the cream of the crop. That's fine. Give that feedback. But Trials is not that place. It was never supposed to be that place.
I think that it's been sweaty and it was low rewards overall before, and it obviously didn't work. You know, like people just weren't playing it. And like, I get maybe that feeling of accomplishment goes away for some people. I get it. But, you know, it makes me think about when Deepstone Crypt came out. And on the first day, I think it was like 36,000 people beat it on the first day, which was a record. Or it was either number 1 or 2.
25,000 or something. Like it was.
It was a lot though. Like, but like even then, even 20,000. Like sometimes it was like 3 teams. Like if we look at Last Wish, it was like 2 teams beat it before 24 hours, right?
Yeah.
So we see a big
like Crown of
change.
Sorrow was like 500 people. I think, and one team on console,
which is you,
your boy.
Yeah.
So like,
but it's like
still waiting for Bungie's congratulatory tweet. By the way,
yeah, one day.
Good luck.
But like, don't you want people to like play your game and be able to enjoy these activities and like enjoy these moments as a community? And I understand maybe you want to make an even harder mode. Like if you look at the
like Master Vogue,
and like even like the challenge difficulty, the challenge mode, that is hard. Yes, maybe a lot of people beat it, but I still think that that's an achievement that you beat it in that amount of people. It's not like 100,000 people or 130,000 people who went flawless. Even that amount, 30,000 people.
So,
you know, divided by 6 too, right?
The same kind of thing is like, okay, so with Deepstone Crypt, a lot of people beat it, but if you look at it as a percentage, like how many of a percent of people compared to the total population, it actually doesn't look so bad. The percentage compared to those who like actually tried it is actually relatively comparable to other raids. It's not that much higher. It's not You know what I mean? And so it's a lot of the sheer numbers of people doing it is because just more people actually did it. It was the first raid weekend since basically, oh my goodness, I think like Leviathan and or original Vogue, they took like a whole week or more than a week to set it up. But this was like the first one where they're like, hey, you have over a week. So you have one reset to gear up. And that was huge.
And then it's on a Saturday.
And on a Saturday. Right?
Yeah.
Dude, like, it's like
Those are big factors, yeah.
They launched Crown of Sorrows 6 hours after the DLC went live on a Tuesday. Like, no crap. There's not going to be many people who are able to beat that, to level up in 6 hours and then do the raid. So it's like, part of the reason is it's like, so if you think about it, was it harder? Or was it just like really good people were working at the time or just like didn't bother? Right. That's something that the hardcores don't want to hear. Maybe it's like it's not all about
maybe there's
skill.
More people like you.
Yeah, maybe it's not all about skill. Maybe it's just about like being able to have the time to gear up. Because like I remember you'd have 3 days before a raid and it was brutal. Like
absolutely.
I
totally agree.
Savage.
And as far as the trial stuff is concerned and the gatekeeping of that activity, I think that one thing that I think is important to express is that it's not wrong to be a hardcore PvP player who loves Destiny. But might I suggest that if you're a hardcore PvP player who wants and loves and values a hardcore PvP experience, Destiny is not going to fill that void for you. Destiny is not that game. There are a lot of games out there that will fill that void that are catered specifically to that thing, to being a hardcore player, wanting a hardcore experience. But that isn't Destiny, and I don't think that it ever will be. So trying to force that on the rest of the player base it's not going to happen.
It's never going to be an esport. Like, I don't know how to tell you this, but it's never going to be an esport. There's random rules on armor and guns. They can never normalize it unless they build a whole new thing. And unless Bungie, like, they don't even make maps for PvP, period. So they're not going to build a whole other system to make competitive games happen. They've never really funded it in the past. And like, there's nothing wrong with maybe wanting to do some sweats or some community tournaments and stuff. But like, it's not going to be an esport. So stop treating it like an esport. Like, I don't know. You know,
I feel like there honestly could be, though. I feel like it would be really cool.
It would be enjoyable to watch.
How cool would it be to break down, like, this is so-and-so's role. He got this god roll shotgun. That's why he's running shotgun. And to complement that, he's using all these other things. Dune marchers to get up fast. Like, I feel like it would be so cool. But Bungie is not going to invest in it. Like, they need to invest in it to actually make it happen. And it's one of those, like, you can treat it like a sweaty game. Just don't be mad when no one else does. And also, this weekend, if you think it was easy, it is going to likely get harder and harder and harder as the player population gets what they want and then stops playing. Like, Trials is very generous, and there is the legitimate concern that you get everything you want, and then what do you do? But
that's a lot better than the alternative.
Yes, the issue there is the exact same thing Diablo 3 went through, where it's like, listen, players are going to quit anyways. Everyone's going to stop playing at a certain point. Do you either want your players to stop playing when they're pissed off about the game, or to stop playing because they're just happy but they got everything they want? Obviously, you want the second one, right? So those people are going to come back. You add a new weapon next season, they're back, right?
You infuse new loot into the loot pool. Problem solved. You have a fun game mode with a booming player population. That's so much better than having loot that's valuable that no one has unless they paid for it.
100%. Can I bring up a little bit more spicy drama, though? Because on the one hand, you have some of the sweats saying Trials is too easy now. But on the other hand, I've seen a lot of people complaining about Trials. There have been like people being like, oh, I didn't get to go flawless. I solo queued the entire time and didn't win a single game. This is a trash game mode. Bungie's dumb.
Right. Yeah, because there's such a vastness in that skill. And like for every person that's on this side of the bell curve, there's a bunch on the other, you know?
Yeah.
And you have to remember, it's also people that like, I feel like a lot of people that are saying that they don't have a PvP fire team because maybe they never play PvP, but also they have had no reason to play Trials for the past like year or two. And so it's like, you're jumping in there and you don't even play PvP ever. And it's like, oh, I couldn't win. And it's like, well, no shit. You never even
You don't know how to play elimination.
Like,
exactly.
You shoot drags. I'm sorry, but shooting a drag is not the same. Even the worst, the worst PvP player trying to just kill one compared to shooting a drag is like night and day. Like, it truly is. Even just like a little bit of strafing compared to the AI in this game is like a knight just kind of runs towards you, and it's like, I'm landing all my shots. And so it's something you got to get used to, definitely.
I mean, interestingly, the only people I see complaining about this are people who self-admit that they're solo queuing. And it's like, listen, on one hand, I feel for those people because it does seem to match solo and double queues with full teams a lot. Like a lot. And I feel like maybe if you could try to match the 3 stack of solo queues with a duo and a solo,
where
it'd
it
be a little bit more
prefers
even.
that,
You know, like adjust it a little. That seems fair. But it's also like, listen, if you're solo queuing, that was not possible before. Yeah. Right? Like people are looking, it's
option now.
I solo queued and I couldn't win a game, but it's like, dude, you wouldn't even be playing Trials before. The game wouldn't even let you in. So now you can lose in all the games you want, but if you can just win a few rounds, if you can snag a few rounds, maybe you'll get enough to get a Trials engram. And that one Trials engram, you can get into whatever piece of loot you want.
Maybe it's an igneous hammer.
Or a messenger, or the new linear fusion. It's like you have access to all this loot that you never had access to before, right? And so it's really weird to see people being like, but Trials is still trash. Like, again, I couldn't win a single game. And it's like, dude, at some point, like, what can Bungie do? Unless you want, like, you know, Cosmo to come out of the ether and hold your controller for you, like, at some point you gotta look in the mirror and say, wow, I need to work on my shot placement, brother. Like, you know
at the end of the day, Trials was designed as a team-based activity. And so the solo queue option really is a novelty, just to remove one more barrier. So the fact that people are complaining about something that's undeniably better than it was is kind of mind-boggling to me. But I mean, I understand it's frustrating to lose, but at the same time, you have to understand if you're going in solo, you're not playing Trials the way it was designed to be played, and you will match fire teams of people who like to do this with their buddies. And that comes with, you have to understand that comes with the territory. That is what you are opting in for, is the possibility and, in fact, the probability that you will at some point match a full team, and you got to be okay with that.
Like, the thing
you will get stoned.
Yeah, if I match you, I'm not pulling any punches. I'm going to show up with my Vex Mythic class and beam you from across the map. And there's nothing you can do about it, right? Like, I'm not going to, like, play nice. I'm trying to go flawless. That's just Trials, bro. Yeah. That's everyone's mindset.
I solo queued plenty. So I mean, I went flawless a ton of times. I played well over 100 matches of Trials this weekend, but I did a bunch of them solo queue because I wanted to be able to speak to that situation. And yeah, I played my fair share of full teams, and guess what? I lost my fair share of matches when I was solo queuing because, frankly, when I matched 3 people who are communicating, and I'm with guys who go 0.1, and one guy drops a goose egg, I'm gonna lose some matches. That comes with the territory.
Off game, TV. Come on.
But did I complain about it? No, because I fully understood that when it happened, like, this is just part of the deal. Mm-hmm. You take your L's. And we all have to.
I guess one saving grace, though, is like, I bet you even on the LFG websites, no one has been doing Trials. Like, no one's like, let's get a team together for Trials, because they just get stomped no matter what. But now that there are more people, I bet you're going to start finding more PvP-minded people. And I think some of those opportunities to maybe, you know, make a fire team, even if it's a little bit scuffed, it's better than nothing. Just being able to say he's behind that corner going for the revive, that will change your game.
However,
yes.
However, yes. I will say, in fairness to the people complaining about Trials and the solo queue experience, they do have one actual very legitimate point, and that is Bungie has implemented this new system, and we have crossplay now, but Bungie did not implement any way to communicate in-game. It's like, why can't you have voice chats coming later, and even chat? Like, you can't whisper someone who's not on your like Steam's friends list. It's super frustrating. There's no like actual in-game way to message them, right? So it's very hard to like, if there was like a proper in-game chat that's not just like through kind of Steam, you should be able to, when you're matchmaking, someone is good, you can message them, hey man, want to squad up? But there really isn't necessary, like, unless you want to send them a friend request, it gets a little sus. Like for me, it's super annoying. You can only have like 100 friends on Steam, so obviously I'm full on Steam, and I add people as Bungie.
So
I
popular.
add people. Oh my god, I add people as Bungie friends, and then like I can't whisper them, I can't communicate with them. It's so dumb. So Bungie needs to get like an in-game proper, especially now that crossplay is in the mix. Let people actually communicate, because suddenly you solo queue and you were two other solo queues, and you have an in-game proper voice chat, and you're all communicating. That like difficulty about being against a full squad goes down considerably. You have a big chance to win that game now.
Right.
So Bungie really does need to do that.
I think my vote is they nailed it. And I don't know.
Let's be clear, you played, right?
I play. Guess. I got carried by Frostbolt. So I mean,
say,
I had a great weekend.
Mike didn't even play. I just want to clarify.
I had a great weekend. No, I did play. See, I played solo and I won every game, but no,
I'm not surprised.
I'm just kidding. I did play with Lemur and Frostbolt, so we did do a little bit of pub stomping. And the one thing I did notice is there were a lot of people like leaving games. So
that was annoying.
That was definitely annoying. But we also did play a lot of solo players. Felt bad for them. I apologize. I apologize. But I did look at what everyone else is doing, and I popped into a bunch of streams, and like it did seem pretty damn positive overall. I'm excited to see what they do going forward. I'm excited if they can make some of these changes to things like Iron Banner. We start adding new maps. We get that PvP community thriving again. That's my hope for the future.
Yeah. Can I make it clear? Voice chat, people are saying it is enabled. It's enabled if you're all on the same platform. If one person's on PlayStation, they're screwed. Right?
Gotcha. Well, Fire Team chat is up if you're in the same Fire Team. Like I played with PC players and we were all talking together, and I was on PS5.
But I feel like it still needs to be better, because like again, there's no way to like whisper someone unless you Fire Team chat like after the game. I don't know. I think the communication could definitely be better, 100%. Mm-hmm. Like the communication systems and like a proper in-game system.
Right.